The look of Limbo was a complicated design issue, and myself and Guy Dyer spent a long time talking about it, about what it might be.
As depicted in the script, Cobb and Mal were architects who were using this dream landscape as sort of practice ground. It was their playground. It needed to appeal to architects, you know, and people who would know about this stuff. We determined that we would have buildings maybe from the 20s and 30s, buildings that were, you know, very strongly inspired by Corbusier and all the great architects from Bauhaus. And those buildings would slowly transition into buildings from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, the 80s, and so on and so forth. And then beyond where we are now into the new generation of green, self-sufficient buildings. And so suddenly you ended up with this world of limbo, with buildings that were laid out in grids that just got taller and taller and taller and taller.
Limbo City was a really interesting challenge because this is where I think we were really pushed the hardest creatively. In the script, it's described that they emerge out of the sea and they are confronted with what appears to be a giant crumbling cliff face, but then it's made of buildings. This is something we spent quite a lot of time working on concepts for it, designing it, developing ideas and looks and feels for how this thing might work.
The ultimate thing we settled on was the idea of a sort of an architectural glacier, really. All these architectural forms that are collapsing into the sea. To achieve it, we knew there would be a massive visual effects burden. And we had Paul Franklin and his guys at Double Negative come on and study footage of glaciers calving, dropping into the sea, and look at ways we could replace those with architectural forms. We were going to Morocco anyway. First scouting there, driving from the airport, we passed some very strange, enormous architectural forms, these housing estates, these buildings in the middle of nowhere, which we thought might give us a great basis and give Paul a great basis to build out his architectural creations. And so we shot the actors there in Morocco, we shot them walking through this extraordinary set of buildings, which the visual effects guys then built out. And we had the special effects guys, Chris Corwell and his team, actually bring water into the foot of these buildings and create waves and so forth. So that the line between visual effects and practical photography was as blurred as we could make it. The idea really there is that Cobb and Mal have created this enormous amount of architecture over the very long time they're trapped in the state. And the water, for me, the ocean, sort of represents the subconscious. It represents the subconscious over time eating away at this vision of theirs and it being gradually lost, gradually eroding.